Hi all, I have an absolutely fascinating game to show you from the Dortmund tournament being played in Germany. It's a very, very strong tournament. Caruana, Kramnik, Wesley So, Nisipeanu, Qxe4, Nisipeanu and Meyer are playing this tournament. Very, very strong. So here, Nisipeanu, who was originally from Romania, is a German citizen. He's playing white against Wesley So in round 1. It's really intriguing. So let's see what happened. E4 from Nisipeanu, and Wesley So reacts with the Sicilian defense, and we get actually a Grand Prix attack system. Knight c3, d6, and now the usual move, knight f3, is bypassed with this f4, so this signals a Grand Prix attack. g6, knight f3. By the way, I think Garwin Jones is one of the British GMs who has some literature on it, has done a book or two on the Grand Prix attack. And here, after bishop g7, the usual move historically has been bishop c4, but bishop b5 check has been popularized more in recent years, and this is actually the move chosen. So bishop b5 check, saying basically, it doesn't matter to get rid of the light square bishop. White can still have good coordination later on the king side, and all of his pieces are pretty good and harmonious with the pawn structure. This bishop is harmonious with this pawn structure, so it doesn't seem to matter about giving up the light square bishop. Sometimes I do like to play it on to c4 because this diagonal is quite dangerous. But let's see in this game, bishop d7, it's just taken off, bishop takes, queen takes, white castles, knight c6, and black seems to have a nice grip on d4, d3, but white has some certain subtle trump cards here. The one which is not so subtle is this ability to play f5. It opens up the scope of the bishop and this rook, which is by default on f1 in any case, so it's ready to be blasting open this f-file. Wesley reacts here with e6. This is one of the top moves played here. Also knight f6 is popular. e6. And now usually bishop e3 is played. There's 13 games for bishop e3 in live book. For example, like this, maybe with white playing d4. And yeah, there's a handful of games now like this position. And yeah, it's an interesting position, but maybe nothing too much to write home about from an attacking perspective. The move Nisipeanu plays seems much braver and more dynamic. It seems more aggressive in reaction to this e6 rather than knight f6. It's the immediate f5. A fascinating move because it gives up the e5 square, gives it on a plate to black, potentially. Now Wesley just reacts with knight ge7, saying basically, well, open the f-file. You've just given me like these two key central squares. White plays here f takes e6. He's opening up the f-file, fine. If he did fg, then maybe even this rook, it's pretty dangerous. So here we have f takes e6, fine. Another move, knight g5, which, okay, it restricts black from castling kingside. It's not really threatening something like rook f7 or knight f7. They're easily parried. Maybe just throwing in a check and then black's going to castle queenside. But interestingly here, in this position, it is actually kind of preventing black castling queenside, though, because of knight f7. So black does actually have to be careful. Now the move played runs into something interesting. So actually I'm going to do a quick engine check because actually it's not so simple here. Knight g5 has numerous points to it. Actually it really does. It's stopping black legally castling kingside, and on castling queenside then there's knight f7. So what white, it is a preventive move, and it seems to provoke knight e5, and it shouldn't be such a big deal. So what is the engine's choice here, just before we move on to the game? The engine's choice is actually, one of the engine's choices is actually to just try and kick the knight, to get it to go to f7, and then to play this. This doesn't seem ideal if this is the case, actually. This seems like reasonably good for white, this position. even though it seems like a pedantic pawn to take. It seems as though it's a small advantage for white technically, although black seems to have a nice position, nice compensation in terms of the central grip. Okay, so that didn't really happen h6. It seems like you wouldn't really want to play h6 here, surely, to go into this continuation, just to be able to castle queenside, but having to pay the price of losing a pawn. But it appears to be one of the top engine moves. The move played seems fairly solid, knight e5, and then surely to castle queenside next. What can possibly be wrong with this? Isn't white's whole opening here a bit suspect? f7 is covered. Black's got nice central control. Black's going to castle queenside. What can possibly go wrong here? This next move is pretty stunning, and it kind of sets this game as actually being quite special. Can you see what white plays in this position if I give you 5 seconds starting from now? Okay, white plays a remarkable looking move, knight b5. And the point is e6 is quite vulnerable with certain tactics. Knight takes e6 is immediately threatened. Queen takes knight c7 check. If black castles queenside, then not grabbing this a7 pawn, that wouldn't be at all good. No, the knight's kind of stranded. But actually in this position, the move d4 isn't too bad. So say c takes d4, knight takes d4, and e6 is a problem actually with the two knights attacking it. It's actually a real pain for black. So yes, it seems as though in this position here as well, queen takes d takes is not too bad for white after queen g4. Again, e6 is a right pain. In fact, yeah, it seems white's coordinating quite nicely here, and the bishop's closed in. This isn't ideal for black. So let's have a look. Wesley reacted with queen takes b5. So we have knight takes e6, threatening the bishop, and also threatening knight c7 to fork the queen and king. So here, black actually forfeits castling rights. The solution Wesley comes up with is to forfeit casting rights. Well, he can't exactly castle either side still, so he plays king d7. And another intention is to try and trap this pesky knight. So knight takes g7, we see this intention revealed here. The knight doesn't seem to have an escape. So we see h5 with the idea of rook h7. Very good, surely, for black. f7 is still covered. What can possibly go wrong from this position? Isn't this a bit still a bit strange play from white? Although the knight b5 was spectacular. Isn't there a kind of stranded knight here? Well, we see now a4 kicking the queen, and maybe the queen should have gone to c6 here. It actually went to b6, encouraging a5 kicking the queen again. Queen b5, encouraging c4 kicking the queen again. Maybe here, you know, queen c6 though might not be too hot in this position. Say bishop f4. We try and trap the knight. d4, and you know it starts to be quite uncomfortable. Again, with the black king on d7, it's not ideal. So, okay, so queen b5 was played, and we see c4 kicking the queen, and it actually goes to c6 now. But isn't white committing these pawns? Isn't this really strange play? Well, it gets even stranger now, because actually, I mean, c4 is interesting. But you know, what about the idea of rook f6 to give the knight e6? That could have also been considered just then instead of c4. In fact, you know, rook f6 is interesting here, and also another idea which is still interesting, like here, is bishop f4. Again, it doesn't seem to matter that the knight's kind of stranded. This position, there's d4 all the time with the king on d7. So it seems, if black's going to execute the knight, then this is really unpleasant. And if knight takes c4, d5, this position becomes unpleasant for black with the king on d7. He doesn't really want to. What can he do? This starts to get a bit hairy, a bit unpleasant for black, and in fact the knight can come now to e6. So it's very, very interesting actually that the knight doesn't seem actually to be totally stranded here. It seems bishop f4 is actually a real problem, and maybe even rook f6 to give e6, maybe even this. But there's also the idea that d4 or bishop f4 here is plausible with the pin on the queen. So yeah, it seems as though basically it's not so clear this knight is stranded anymore. But the move white chooses is not bishop f4 or rook f6, but in fact b4, and is really saying, okay, take my knight. Let's see what happens here. b4 is ruthlessly opening up things like the b file. It's trying to dismantle black's center, trying to expose the king on d7 basically. So saying, take my stranded knight. So it's as if white isn't even that bothered about this next move coming up, which is rook h7. And here we see b takes c5, and this piece sacrifice, rook takes g7. So where is the compensation here? Well, there's actually quite a lot of compensation here, believe it or not. Although white is a piece down, there's a central flooding on the horizon, but more concretely there's rook f6 here, threatening immediately rook takes d6 to win the queen. If queen takes c5 check here, this wasn't played, knight c8 was played, protecting d6. If queen takes, doesn't really help because of d4. This is unpleasant. So what does black do here? He gets quite tangled up now against this threat. He actually plays knight c8, locking out his rook. So the rooks are not particularly coordinated. White's centre seems to be gaining mobility. White seems to have gained not just the b file, but potentially with the king on d7. The king's still vulnerable. So there's a lot of attacking pressure. And now White's centre moves forward with d4. What a fantastic conception. Black's really tangled up. His rook's uncoordinated. White's centre flooding through, it seems. Is this really the case, that there's enough piece compensation? What does black do about this position? He doesn't seem to be in any great state to handle the increase in pressure here that white is going to be exerting. We see, in fact, knight g4. If the knight, let's see if the knight goes to f7, then queen f3. And what happens here with this knight? If the king goes to e7, it looks as though it's asking for things like this check. It takes d5. So yeah, and white's going to be invading on f6 pretty soon. This looks horrible. So yeah, it seems as though this sort of position gets unpleasant. Here, this rook e6, bishop e3, and then he's going to be playing things like rook f1, and white's coordination is really great here. So yeah, it seems as though this is really uncomfortable actually. Knight g4 was played, hitting the rook, and the rook just retreats down to f3. And there's a simple threat. It's not really about a forced mate or anything for the black king. White is simply threatening to get back his piece with h3 and then have an advantage. But isn't this really strange, this position? Isn't the e-pawn now hanging? Wesley So takes the e-pawn, okay, giving back his piece after h3. The knight, this knight is stranded now. Yes, it's a crazy game. This knight is stranded. What does black do about this? The tanglement issues take time to resolve, getting the knight moving for the rook. You might think, well, can't black get his knights back and his rooks back into the game? He actually does d takes c5, which seems strange, maybe. But let's have a look at this position. What does black actually do? Alright, say knight e7. H takes, rook f4. This position starts the creak, doesn't it? Rook b1. What does black do here? This, check. And it's like +7. The engine evaluates this position, where white's just got his piece back, as +7. So what's the reason for this? Well, I think it's to do with king safety. The king doesn't seem particularly safe there, even on c7 now. This position, bishop f4, is threatened. The king has not got really a nice, safe place of residence. If here, bishop a3, and it starts to get, it starts to get really like a lost position, clearly, like this, for example, losing a piece. So yeah, black's getting poleaxed, it seems. What does black do here? He can't play knight e7, it seems too slow. Yeah, so Wesley just takes on c5. It's equal on pawns now. Or is it? D takes c5 is check. No, white's now for the first time a pawn up. H takes g4. Threatening rook e3 now to secure the queen to the king. And how often do we see Wesley So with black having his king being kicked from pillar to post in a game? His king's in the centre here, just shielded by the knight. We see queen f1 just implying rook f8 check, and then bishop g5, or both are really dangerous. So rook g8 to parry rook f8. And then we see bishop b2, but surely this is not nice with rook e1 coming. Oh dear. Black's rooks, it looks as though black has been playing like someone rated 1200 in this game. His king, he didn't manage to castle. His rooks have been all over the place, and he's threatened with this rook e1. Wesley plays h takes g4, and we have rook e1, and black just resigns now. It's a mysteriously crushing game. I've always felt that the bishop b5 Grand Prix systems have been a bit mysterious compared to the more straightforward looking bishop c4, but the bishop b5 systems have been increasing in popularity. It seems white giving up the light square bishop leads to some magical positions. I can only describe them as magical positions, where here it seems, at first sight, shortly after the opening, black had everything under control. What started to cause some doubts was this knight b5 move. After that, some strange stuff started happening. Was the knight being trapped? And white mysteriously didn't even bother playing quite concrete moves to salvage the knight to give it e6. Instead, started just opening up the position and trying to increase his central mobility and saying to black, have my knight. And then he kind of forcibly got his knight back, and all his trumped cards were still there, virtually. And we have this absolutely crushing final position where Wesley So's resigned in. What does Wesley So do here? Queen c2? And just rook f7. Look at white's rooks. There's no defense. It's actually a forced mate in 5 in this position. What a disaster. Just what a fascinating game. This Nisipeanu seems to be a very, very creative attacking player, one to look out for. His FIDE rating at the start of the game was 2654. So he took down Wesley So, who's 2778 in this game, in a rather spectacular fashion, it has to be said. Comments or questions on YouTube? Thanks very much.